see almost a full house audience here, especially in Saturday afternoon. I think Huddle has been always very inspiring for me. I've been part of Huddle in the last 3 years in a row. And today we bring some of the best speakers and some of my very close friends from Dubai. So really sort of Dubai, and as the anchor mentioned, I run a company and the CEO of the company called India, headquartered in Dubai, and we also have operations in other countries. So we always kind of preach about a lot of security. And I would also like to ask the same question which the earlier fireside chat was, the person was asking. How many founders in the room? How many founders? Can you please raise your hands? Brilliant. How many of you say that you are, or you believe that you are very, very secure? How many of you believe? No one? One? Okay. Two? Great. Okay, so that's maybe hardly 1%, less than 5% of the crowd. So I think this is what the topic is, and this is the most important time where we need to talk about this. So we talked about investment, we talked about funding, we talked about a lot of stuff. When we recently started talking much more about the importance of cybersecurity. Being an official cybersecurity partner of this event, F9 is committed to drive cybersecurity operations across all the startups that come up with our mission. So startups this age is born digital. It's AI-driven, cloud-first. But trust is still analog, is it? And trust is not earned these days, without having the right tools, the right security. So that's the topic which we are going to discuss. I'm bringing, as I mentioned, 3 brilliant speakers onto the stage here. So maybe I'll start with you, Anish. Probably you get one of the largest retail chain across India, Middle East, United States, brand for everyone who's new. It's something which is a mega scale breed, and at the same time retail is tech. When we talk about the stores, the warehouse, and also the franchising partners, we'll talk about a lot of IoT, a lot of connectivity, a lot of third-party devices and technologies that come in. So for you, how do you think, or where do you think the Zero Trust actually start in a business like yours? And what can be the step 1 and 2?
Hello. First of all, thanks to all of you for joining us today. Jay, thanks for having me here, and Huddle team to having me in this panel today. So yeah. So coming back to the question that you asked me, for us, Lulu, Zero Trust is kind of non-negotiable. So in my tenure in the organization for the last 20 years, I've been there in different roles. So what I've seen my seniors doing is putting security in the forefront. So right from the beginning, so if I rewind about 12 years ago, right, where we were actually kind of felt very secured because it was kind of closed ecosystem. We had our biggest customer-facing front was point of sale, and then a big ERP to support behind the scenes. So it was all about securing these two environments, making sure that they are rightly segmented, the access to those systems are rightly managed. But over a period of time, so we had to change our business model as well, wherein e-commerce came into picture, and then now we are driving towards omni-channel commerce, or you can say channel-less or whatever. So customers started interacting with our systems directly. So that's when we had to actually look in deeper into each and every segment within the application landscape and then work on them. So for us, it is about securing the identity first, and then making sure that the systems are rightly segmented. Then only the necessary protocols are being open between systems. Even within the data center, it is about making sure that the application is rightly segmented. The ERPs are not completely open. We don't trust, even the systems does not trust each other, of late. coming to the new age, even to the vendor selection area, we have brought in this kind of zero trust approach. So we want to make sure that the vendors who are going to supply or even do IT jobs within the organization are rightly equipped from a security perspective. So they should be up there. So basically, don't trust anybody.
So I think the messages here, I mean, even the panel topic is also that it's zero trust and don't trust anyone, even if they are sitting next to you. So, because I think identity is clarity, is it? These days, we are, with AI being there, attacks have become very simpler, much more cheaper. So, with that, identity is the biggest clarity. So, Mayuresh, would like to go with you. What is zero trust in a startup language, if you want to put it that across?
Check. So thanks, Jay, and I'm really excited to be part of this really August gathering where we've got so many startups looking at us. And in my past 20 years of experience doing nothing but cybersecurity, I've come to realize that basics are very, very important. And if you get your basics right in the beginning, when you are setting things up, like Anish talked about, setting your systems up, how are your different applications going to interact with each other, with your customers, all of that matters. You may not want to set everything up from the get-go, because at the end of the day, it is also the amount of investments that you want to do, but it's also important to make it future ready. You think about it before you actually start planning it, and then once the time is right, you actually get to it. It's all about, and as you talked about, Jay talked about identity. Identity today is the primary way with which we do everything. And I'm talking not just about the digital world, I'm talking about everything, digital and physical. For example, if I had to go and get lunch here, this QR code was being scanned, and otherwise I would not get lunch. And this is my identity here. It basically allows me to get access to the free water that is out there, but not to the nice food. And that's what we need to think of when we are setting up our systems, be it a tech-enabled startup or a tech startup or otherwise. It's who is authorized to do things, who is authenticated correctly. That's what matters today and in the long run. So again, going back to my initial point, basics matter. We need to ensure that we think through all the setups, all the processes, all the systems that we are establishing in the organization today, and ensure that they are integrable into security, or the fabric allows for security to be embedded in the future. You don't start with everything, but you ensure that you can put everything in when the time is right.
Great. Thank you, Mayuresh. Now, Ajit, you had the cybersecurity for one of the global fintech, and fintech is obviously slightly different, similar like many of the other regulated industries. How do you see zero trust and maybe a combination of zero trust and AI models, that works? And how do you put that in the center for everything what you do?
So good afternoon all. So before I answer that question, right, if you ask me the same question which you asked the crowd, right, how confident are you on the cybersecurity? So I would say that I have reasonable measures, but at any point I could say that I'm 100%, So those whoever people who didn't raise your hands, I'm also on the same boat, So it's more like nobody can guarantee 100%. No, just wanted to set the contest, but definitely people would be at different maturity level from a security perspective, but it's always a challenge, right? Yeah. So now back to your question, right? So when we start talking about zero trust, right? So it used to be the network side of things, right? At some point, as I said, right, when the perimeter was dissolving and kind of more getting into the identity side of things, right? So the same thing applies to AI also, if you ask me, right? From being a kind of a regulated market, right? So now we have to go through many regulations, right? And The thing is, it's simple, right? You need to protect the data. So that's where all lies, right? So from our side of things, what we say is, so before we adopt, so earlier, when we start this AI journey, right, so there have been multiple teams coming up with their kind of different solutions. They used to run the AI or LLMs locally, right? So we said, no, that's not the way we wanted to, right? So we started kind of consolidating. Now, in the sense, we restrict all at some point, right? Because we have to do it. And at the same time, we should be think like a startup also, right? So what we do is we have, I'm not picking a vendor, but we use AWS Bedrock as a solution. Then we build the guardrail, which makes sure we are compliant with whatever regulations we have, right? Be it, and making sure that data, and definitely from the other things which goes without saying, right? The IAM and those kind of stuff, right? Making sure you trust, but verify kind of a thing. So that's why.
Great. I think perimeter is now no more. There is there is no more a perimeter. So I think
Perimeter is your identity, if you ask me.
Exactly. So that has become the identity. So now moving on, I mean back to Irish. Probably I just wanted a quick 30 seconds answer in terms of we are all talking about AI, and AI is the buzzword right now. And I personally believe that AI has been heavily commoditized. But irrespective of whether it is commodity or not, and this is going to drive a lot of threats as well. The threat vectors and the threat actors have been using it extensively, as I mentioned. How do you see, from a you head the Europe, Middle East, Africa, and also Asia Pacific. So two major regions, two major continents, and when you look at the threat actors and the threat vectors, how this is actually evolving in terms of the AI accelerated threats. Can you just give a quick brief about that?
Sure. So just like AI has become ubiquitous in everything that we do today, the threat actors are just as lazy as us. They are not any different than us. So they will use AI to make their life easier. They will use AI to make the amount of effort it requires them to compromise a particular organization or a user easier, right? So that's what AI-enabled threats would look like, or are looking like. At the same time, AI is being applied in security technologies as well. So it's a good application of a theory for both sides of the fence, right? For protection, defense against attacks that are originating. So that's a good thing that is happening. But there is the other aspect of AI which is a bit concerning. It's about the risk and the appetite for risk when AI adoption is happening. So remember, the threat actor or the bad actor has to succeed only once, okay? They can try 100 times, and if they succeed once, they have gotten through to the organization. We as defenders have to be right all the time. So do we trust AI to take our decisions with that in mind, that if even there is 1% chance of AI failing or hallucinating, do we trust to hand over controls to AI for our defense? That's what we need to think about.
I think that's a brilliant point. I mean, we have seen a lot of humanoid conversations here. We have talked about digital twins. We have talked about everything on AI, and that hallucination is the biggest point. And are we in that stage to trust that 100%? So great point. And as you summarized it, like we have to win all the time. And Lulu, Anish, coming into the Lulu aspect of it, if you look at the retail, how do you see this similar situation? I mean, I'm sure that you might be using a lot of AI-driven applications in your portfolio, in your landscape. So how do you see this? Is it a measurable criteria right now?
See, as we shouldn't be looking at Lulu as a retail now. We are omni-channel, so that becomes our biggest surface at which we get attacked, right? So yeah. So one of our early adoption of AI was actually in security, not really in supply chain or anywhere else, which is kind of counterintuitive, but yeah. So this is where we actually started with. But what we eventually found out was on the e-commerce front, we were getting really hit at certain times of the, and then it ended up we actually found out that they are all AI-driven attacks, right? We were trying to counter it with another AI tool, but biggest defense of an AI is an actual AI, and it's endless. So, coming to the point again, for us, when we choose solutions, we are now looking more deeper into the facts that it will be resilient against such bad actors, right? Again, there is no definitive answer to this. Currently, it is the area is evolving so fast. We are also learning from it.
I think the attack surface has grown really big. I mean, like, gone are those days where we can say that my X application is having a problem or my Y application. Now, I think the entire attack surface has grown to a level where anything can happen. Because again, identity has become so crucial. Now, coming back to Ajit. Ajit, from a fintech point of view, I mean, I cannot emphasize on the importance of AI. So in this era of AI, what do you see as the biggest security risk for a fintech, and especially for the startups who are related to fintech?
See, what we see, if you look at our incident, right, the biggest thing, though the magnitude is different, scale is different, but the phishing is what we still see as a bigger threat, right? Nothing more sophisticated, but that has become so real that even you cannot make out whether it's real. So we see more phishing attacks which looks like real even for the security folks, right? Because we do the phishing tools and all. Definitely we use AI enabled tools. So even for them, right? We get it's confusing for them, right? So that's what we see, right? And we see the scale with respect. I mean, something on the AI poisoning, right? What if you look at from a third-party library perspective, right? So something, and the things have changed. Now, the thing is, say earlier it used to be kind of the more focus was kind of it's a DDoS or whatever, right? Now it's more like a distraction, right? So now if you look at if a particular library, I mean, the recent NPM incidents, what were happening, I mean, I'm saying it's connected to AI, in the sense. So the thing is, now once the scale, right, if you look at the scale, right, if it is compromised, the thing is it's distraction, right? It takes all your, whatever, it wipes your protection. And so it's more, so phishing, I see it, and I see the scale and magnitude of other attacks, including DDoS, has increased because of, it's all AI-enabled kind of a thing now.
If I may add, I want to put a number to this kind of scale that we're seeing. So on a given day, we are seeing about 80 different sites being spun up, just looking like Lulu website at the same time. And then they take it down and take it up, at different times to counter the kind of defense mechanisms that we have. So it's painful.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at the statistics, it's alarming, because again, as I mentioned, whether it is poisoning or, data poisoning or, I mean, everything has gone really high, especially with AI being there. And, every startup, I'm sure that all of you will agree to it. Every startup wanted enterprise customers, or at least some decent size of customers. And what every enterprise customer will ask all of you or each of the startup founders is, how can I trust you? What is the trust what I have, with my data? So because my data is my identity, and how will
Third-party risk.
How will I trust you? So this is something which, we have been seeing quite a bit. So maybe, we are running short of time. So in the last, as a last round, what would be the advice, maybe we'll start with Anish again. What would be the advice which we can give, especially for the young entrepreneurs or the startups, especially who wanted enterprise customers?
I'll keep it short. In the previous presentations, we all heard their advice to the startup was, so safety, I would say safety comes first, even in our case. Now, we are having a joint responsibility once we engage with you guys, right? So the safety of the data as such is primary importance, and safety of the brand's credentials is important. It becomes a joint responsibility. I would say safety first in that respect.
Great. I think obviously it's a joint responsibility. When you join forces, obviously it changes the whole landscape and the game. Ajit, if you would like to add on the same topic.
Right. No, keep the basics right. Make sure on encryption, MFA, API security, adopt a secure SDLC. So if you have those things, that's where it all boils down to, right? So I think anyone looks at what is in there, right? If you ask me, if any company, if you look at, right, they'll ask you for your SBOM first, right? So the SBOMs will give you, what you have in it, right? So make sure you have the hygiene and the security, the basic things right. And the discipline and development. That's right.
No, I think Mayuresh, to summarize that as well, to hear from you, many of the startups will see that as, security as a growth tax. It is adding a lot to their, journey, but at the same time, they really want it, but at the same time, they are, thinking that it will slow down. So what is your take on that? Summarize that as an advice to them.
Absolutely. So, again, I'm trying to use some cliched terms that IT should be an enabler and not not stop organizations from moving fast. And cybersecurity, if I were to, and I like to take real world examples. So I feel cybersecurity is like the rear spoiler on a sports car. Okay? Sports cars want to go fast. You can go fast. But you know what happens if you don't have a rear spoiler in a sports car, right? It will go up and come down very fast. It's not supposed to be an airplane. It's supposed to be a road car. I think cybersecurity is like that. It allows you to move faster without you having to worry about the risks that you may have not even thought about. It allows you to not have to anticipate the roadblocks when it comes to technology that you're using, and you can focus on what is your strength. So if you're building a fintech, if you're building a logistics startup, your focus should be in solving the problems of logistics. Your focus should not be taken away by a ransomware incident or a downtime. And how do you stop that? Having a secure environment for you to work and grow. And if you get those basics right, you have the ability to do that in a sustainable manner without any roadblocks. And by the way, it's not about a matter of if, it's a matter of when you will get hit by a cyber attack. I mean, even the world's biggest enterprises, we've all heard about Marks and Spencer, Jaguar Land Rover, and so on. It took Jaguar Land Rover 50 days to get back their operations online. So again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So try to make it as difficult for the threat actor to come after you. Make them move on to the next target so that you can continue focusing on your growth.
Amazing. Summed up really well. I think, we are all really, short of time. So security is no more, a question mark. I think it has to be there in your design itself, So if you think that security will slow you down, ignoring that will actually, maybe you will not exist. It will literally slow you down because the brand reputation, once lost, is lost forever. And we are talking about startups and, the founders and, it's all about your brand and your investor confidence. So that's something which is very, very important for all of those organizations. And, these days we all talk about the valuation, about the sales accelerator, and also being resilient, So you put that analogy very well in terms of the spoiler of the car. I would put it in a different manner of your brakes in the car, because if you have the right brakes, you can go fast. So with that, we come to the end of this panel. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us over here. And I wish Kerala Startup Mission and Huddle Global and all the young entrepreneurs over here all the very best. And may your startup flourish in a much more secured manner going forward. Thank you so much.